just below 108. Kevin, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Okay.
Kevin Ferry.
The House is voting this week on a bill that could ban the EPA from regulating carbon dioxide emissions. Joining us now is Kentucky Congressman, co-sponsor of that bill, Ed Whitfield. Congressman, welcome. Thanks for joining us. It looks good in the House, but where does it go after that?
Well, we're hopeful that the Senate will pass it as well. There seems to be a lot of support among certain Democratic senators, particularly Senator Manchin of West Virginia. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Do you describe it? I've seen it described many times, and in fact, I've actually described it this way. You've seen it. I don't know if did you finish the whole book?
Oh, the book, yes.
It's a pretty, but it's almost as if the EPA was trying to blackmail Congress into cap and trade. Like, we'll make it much worse for you if you don't do cap and trade. And the whole idea of the way this has been handled is a little bit suspect, no?
Well, I agree. They are trying to force our hand, and our legislation is simply designed to stop an unprecedented power grab by EPA.
I mean, at this point, when in recent weeks the EPA backed down on certain parts of what they were going to do, I think it was a small part, like with boilers or something. Do you see that it has been softening in its resolve to take that agency into its own hands, or do you expect this? I mean, we do have an election coming up, even though it's 19 months away. It is coming up. Do you expect an activist stance from the EPA to come again?
I do. They're making a few comments that would indicate that they may be changing their position, but they have a long line of regulations that they're ready to put into effect over there, and we don't really anticipate any change. Their objective right now is to make coal more expensive so that renewables can be more competitive. And of course, our concern about that is in the global marketplace, electricity produced by coal is still the most economical. We have good clean coal technology, and if we're going to remain competitive in the global marketplace with countries like China, this unprecedented power grab by EPA must be stopped.
Well, I've seen your side argue that that it's going to be economically, there's going to be pain. The administration just had a good jobs report last Friday. Things are, I mean, that's an important component of the 2012 election. Does the administration control, the Obama administration, do they get to tell the EPA whether to move or not on this, or because you would think that they'd be sensitive to this nascent recovery that we have in this country, and they'd maybe say slow down, but that's not the case?
Well, we're delighted about the economy, the jobs report, and the economy does seem to be picking up. But a lot of these regulations are not really going to go into effect until much later. I will just tell you that Gina McCarthy, who's the air quality director at EPA, testified that once the greenhouse gas regulations go into full effect, and particularly if the Tailoring Act is ruled unconstitutional, the cost just to the states to enforce the clean air regulations alone would be $23 billion. That does not include any of the cost to the utilities, refineries, and other industries around the country, and the impact that that would have on higher prices as well as loss of jobs.
So that's just the bureaucracy to get the regulations in place to monitor. That's not even counting what happens to the industries that the regulations affect.
That's just for the enforcement mechanism, $23 billion. All
right. So when is the vote?
We expect the vote will be tomorrow. The Rules Committee will be meeting today. There will be amendments offered by Democrats. One thing that I would like to point out, though, our legislation does not in any way impact the existing Clean Air Act from the standpoint of particulate matter, ozone, hazardous materials, any of that. So this is simply prohibiting a power grab by EPA that they've never tried to utilize before.
Yeah, I mean, the original finding that CO2 can be classified as a pollutant in the first place was a little bit strange, but that's already past history. I don't know what you can do about that. How many Democrats do you think, when it's all said and done in the House, will go along with you?
Well, I would guess that we would have 23 or 4, hopefully.
Yeah, so that'll give you a clear majority. And then have you counted votes in the Senate right now?
Well, we haven't really counted them per se. As you know, they're using a different mechanism over there with the Small Business Act, and we're hoping that they will pass something, and maybe that I don't know what the Senate count is going to be, but we're hopeful that they will do what they're going to do. We'll pass our bill. We can go to conference and work something out.
And then if this doesn't work, what's the next step to try to thwart the efforts of the EPA? What would happen?
Well, as I said, they have a long list of regulations in the pipeline over there. We're going to be looking at all of them. We're going to be introducing legislation to delay some of them. Even EPA has gone to court on the Boiler MAC rule, for example, and asked for a 15-month delay. And what's happening over at EPA today is that there are so many lawsuits being filed by all sorts of groups, particularly environmental groups. The EPA will then enter into a consent decree with them, and then a federal judge will award legal fees to the entities that are bringing the lawsuits. So EPA is besieged by lawsuits, and that is dictating our environmental policy right now.
Okay, very good, Congressman. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much.
When we come back this morning, he runs a major technology company, and he has the ear of the president. We'll talk business, politics, and the economy with Motorola Solutions CEO Greg Brown.